this may kind of scare people because it's a big number. Half of your day has to be dedicated to acquiring new leads and building your business, because with that comes potential for business, but also you're building your database and your sphere of influence.
Today we have a very exciting guest. We have Bryan Casella with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Always good to come back. When we start itemizing the tasks that we need to do as an agent, they're simple. It is simple to get started. I just think that people get away from those main activities. Now, I know before we started recording, we had discussed one of those recent videos that I made about the 5 activities that people need to be focused on. And for a new agent in particular, you know, if you're going to work, as an example, an 8-hour day, my belief system is, and this may kind of scare people because it's a big number, half of your day has to be dedicated to acquiring new leads and building your business, because with that comes potential for business, but also you're building your database and your sphere of influence. So for a new agent, you know, I get questions like, how do I stay busy? And I sometimes return the question by saying, how can you not be busy, right? You don't have any business. You should be out hunting for business, which can include open houses, right? If your area allows that right now, making calls, going door to door. So if I can give you guys a quick snippet from my schedule in the beginning, I dedicated 3 hours in the morning where I had a mix of making phone calls and going door to door. And then I had another segment in the afternoon and early evening where I would do more. So maybe in the morning, I would call all of the fresh expireds and for sale by owners. And then I would call some people from my sphere of influence. Then maybe I'd get out there and knock on, 100 doors. So that would be a total of about 3.5 hours. Then in the afternoon, I would either do another hour and a half of phone calls, right? Just listed, just sold, or inviting people to an open house. Or I would go out there and do what I just told you. I would pick 3 or 4 listings. I would go preview them, take a look at them. I would play a game with myself to guess what it would sell for. And then I would track them over time to educate myself. And then I would door knock 10 or 15 doors around each one of those listings. So now I'm educating myself on the market, and I'm also prospecting. Now that in between time, I was role playing more and practicing with people. That way I could refine my scripts and my dialogues. And I was taking about an hour a day to educate myself, which meant studying the MLS, studying the market, reading over and learning contracts, meeting with escrow companies and educating myself on the escrow process, meeting up with my transaction coordinator that I had in office to ask her, say, hey, you do so many deals. What does it look like? What's the paperwork involved? So I was doing all that when I was new. It was either generating business or educating myself. And I really think if you just do that as an agent and you're disciplined with it, within a year or 2, you can build a good business. I believe innately we search as human beings for the path of least resistance. So let's say as an example, there's me and then there's another guy that can watch on YouTube. If the other guy is giving them an easier option, they're going to say, screw BC. I'm going to go talk to this person because what they're saying, he's telling me I have to work hard, which I've said from day one. And I think like when I started, because of like at the time, $1 Million Listing and all these shows were coming out, nobody was really coming out saying, hey, this business is not easy. You don't just wear a fancy suit and negotiate $1 million deals over the phone and make, 6-figure commissions. You got to go out there and earn it, man. I'm getting beat up. I'm getting cussed at. I'm getting yelled at. I'm going on listing appointments and not getting them. So it brings a reality to the business, but that's that kind of like a process, like a blacksmith will take a weapon through, right? It's a crude piece of metal. He'll heat it up, then he'll beat it and beat it. Then he'll heat it up and beat it and beat it. You have to go through that to transform. And in that process is how you become a better salesperson. You build character, right? You build thick skin to be able to deal with rejection. So I think it's a rite of passage that is like going through a physical transformation or a mental transformation, right? We see these people who go on these fitness journeys where it's 2 years of grueling hard work. Then at the end, they're a completely different person. Now, the key from this is if you pay attention to every transformation somebody does, whether it's in this business or a physical transformation, any example, they're always asked at the end, was all of this effort worth it? And I've never heard anybody say no. They all unanimously say, yes, it was worth it. So it's one of those things that it may be daunting, but anything that you've done as an individual, I want everybody listening to think for a second and say, anything I've accomplished to this point in my life, right, that you deem cool or good, was any of that easy? No, it never was. When I look at any basketball tournament that I won, right, me playing in college or professional, anything I've had to do was incredibly challenging and difficult. And there was moments where you would want to quit or run away.
Yeah.
But you got to stick through it. And I don't know any way, and I've thought about it. I can't give it to people or slice it in a way or contort it to make it easy. It's not going to be easy. Will it be easier for some? Sure, because maybe you're naturally better at handling rejection, or you'll learn the scripts a little bit quicker. But the journey is not simple. Yet, who you become in the process will be well worth it, because you'll become that person. And you've heard this from all the classic self-help guys. You'll become that person who can be successful. Rejection is a normal part of life. I mean, there's two things I can tell you. Number one, if you think about it from a mental perspective, if somebody rejects you, you also have the ability to reject them. So if they reject me, I reject their rejection. So technically, it doesn't affect me because I rejected it. But when you saturate yourself in something, right? It's like, the people that train. I've been doing boxing now. You get used to, blocking punches and stuff like that, and you're calm under fire versus in the beginning, you're all stiff and twitchy. It's the same thing when you make calls or go door to door. After you've been told no so many times, it's like, you're like, okay, this is a normal part of this business and what I do. And the best thing to help me that I can give for people to advice is when you guys get rejected, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting your offer. So it's not like they're saying, hey, Bryan, you're a loser, I don't like you. They're just saying, hey, dude, I don't want to buy or sell. Buy. Okay. So you're not going to see them 2 weeks later in the shopping center. They're going to say, oh, I remember you, Bryan, you loser, I rejected you, right? They're not going to say that. It's just, that's the way we picture it. We take things personally. So I just separated myself and said, this is my business entity and this is me. So they rejected the business offer. No big deal. They're not rejecting me. I really think is, again, what did we say in the beginning? Control what you can control. I can't control inventory levels as an agent. What I can do now, like I said earlier, is where's the opportunity? So one lead source that has been magical for me, two that I'll give you for sure, and then we'll elaborate. One is the old expired, right? Somebody who maybe expired 6 months or more. So what I used to do specifically with the REDX, and I'm still doing it now, but I did it heavily in the beginning, was I would go through my MLS and export a CSV file of all the actives, pending, solds, and expireds, from all these zip codes. And I'd go back like 6 months, a year sometimes. Even in 2013, I was calling expires from like 08, right? 08 and 09 when it crashed. And I would load them in, and the REDX will scrub and tell you which ones were relisted and sold. And the ones that are left are the ones that never went back on the market and sold. And I would start going after them. The conversations are not aggressive because they haven't been getting bombarded by agents. And typically, they didn't sell because of some issue with the market or something happened. Those people end up becoming great database ads that eventually will do something, or you'll find sellers there that'll be ready either right then or within the next couple months. So that lead source, even to this day, is huge for us. The old expired, like greater than 6 months up to 4 or 5 years. Because if you let's say you call somebody from 2008 to 2010 or 11 back in 2013, they didn't sell because inventory was through the roof. Now it's the opposite. But every time, as an example, I just happen to flip the news on, they always say the market sucks. So how is a consumer going to know unless they have a live conversation with you, or you're in their database and you're feeding them that real news? You see what I'm saying? So that's a good one. Another one is absentee owner, which is people who own investment properties that is not their primary residence. Those people are amazing. Right now, interest rates, I think, in some cases have dipped below 2% for like a 15-year loan. We're calling absentee owners saying, hey, dude, have you considered pulling out a second line at 1.875% and grabbing another investment property and cash flowing even more? Have you thought about doing a 1031 exchange right now into something else, right, to give you more cash flow? So that's a different conversation than just, hey, do you want to buy or sell? Right. And typically the absentee owners, because they're business owners, they have properties, those conversations are a lot more about the numbers and not so emotional, right? Like a home buyer might purchase on emotion. A home seller, if they're moving from one place to one place, there may be a lot of emotions involved, right? Those are typically more business type conversations that as an agent, you're going to enjoy more. So the absentee owner and the old expires are amazing. Another thing I've done that has helped tremendously throughout this whole process is I've really ramped up the education of my database and the people that I've been close touch with, as far as previous and past clients, people that we've sold to, and just people that I've met. Because then when I have sphere of influence conversations, they're a lot better. And I know if someone is even thinking about it because they have the right information and they're talking to me and getting my information, you can raise the possibility of extracting somebody who maybe wanted to buy or sell.